I'm Charles, and I'm 70 years of age. I was diagnosed with CF 6 years ago. Before that, I was diagnosed with bronchiectasis all my life. Don't know what parent had the gene. And as a youngster, 12 years of age, I was put in a sanatorium with, they thought I had tuberculosis, which I didn't. And 12 months of injections twice a day. And then I was back in again when I was 16 for 6 months. Again, they thought I had tuberculosis, and I hadn't. So I put it down to having CF, which they didn't know about then. And I'm coped very well before. I knew I had CF. If I had a cold or anything like that, just had antibiotics and it seemed to clear it up. How I managed to cope with it, if I'd have known then I had CF, I don't know. But I put it down to misspent youth. Well, I've been under Wythenshawe Chest Clinic for a long time, and I had a bad year and I caught pneumonia, and I was in the F6 and I was doing very well, and then I had a relapse, a bad relapse, and I thought my time had come, to be honest. And that's when Dr. Jones done some results, you know, to find out what was causing it. And that's when they found out that I had CF. And he came and says to me, do you want the good news or the bad news? And I said, go on. And he said, you've got Pseudomonas. And I said, what's that? And he said, well, it's a disease, it's uncurable, but we can contain it with strong antibiotics. I said, fine. And after I'd left the excuse me, left the ward and went home, and he phoned me up at home and said, can you come down to the clinic? I want to have a chat with you. And I said, yes, fine. So when I went down to the clinic, and I was sat in the chest clinic waiting room, and he said, come with me. And we went through to this little room, which was the old CF clinic. And he says, this is where you'll be coming in future. And I said, yeah. He said, because you've got CF. So I said to him, what's that? You know, never heard of it, you know. And he explained to me what it was all about. And the only thing we can do is control it with IVs. And that's how it all become. And when I'm in the wards, I go in and I have 2 to 3 weeks of IV treatment. And that clears it up, and I'm out again. This year I've been very fortunate. I've not been in since April. Last year I was in 5 times. So this year's been good, you know. So when I spoke to Prof a few weeks back, he can't understand why I'm doing so well, you know. So, and I can't either, you know, because last year was a bad year. This year's been a good year, you know, so hopefully it may continue staying out of the wards. Well, the advice I would give to young people who's got CF is to keep active and exercise. I think that's the reason a lot of young people sit watching television and do games where they should be exercising. Keep on the move, you know, try, even if it's a little bit each day. And I think that is a thing for it. Well, the thing about the new unit is it's spacious. You've got all your own facilities in your room, you know, your shower and television and Sky Television and all that, so it's home from home actually. The ward itself is a luxury ward compared with some of the wards in the hospital. And we get spoiled. We've got our own chef, Chris, who makes wonderful meals. And Sharon, I think Sharon, yes. She's another chef. The meals are lovely. The staff are the best in the hospital, I'll tell you. I'm not being biased, but they are. And you don't have to get looked after when you're in there.
Hi, I'm Lindsay. I'm 27 years old and I'm a person with cystic fibrosis. And I was diagnosed at birth. I had a blocked bowel, so my parents found out straight away. Obviously, I was the oldest and they wasn't really expecting it. I was told at the time that I wouldn't live past my teens. And so my parents obviously sort of were very protective of me. Things like when I went to school, for instance, I would have my tablets in the headmaster's office, and yeah, I'd have a pretty normal childhood. Obviously, I had the daily treatment and regime, so lots of nebulizers, tablets every day, physiotherapy, all that sort of thing. But just because I was quite honest with my friends and you know, told them about my CF, it wasn't really ever an issue, and I didn't really get bullied because of it. Like, people sort of understood that it was Lindsay had to take her tablets, and so I didn't feel that I was really treated that differently. But like, obviously, as I got older, started thinking about things, you know, what I could do. I realised that actually that I was quite well, that I was keeping well, that my treatment regime was keeping me well, and so decided that I wanted to go to university and set my heart on that, and so that was something to work towards, and I did that, and I went to university for 3 years. It was a big deal to me because I moved away from home, first time without my parents, and obviously managing my treatment, my health did go downhill a little bit initially because I was too busy partying, but it was a really good learning curve to sort of be myself, and for everything not to be about CF, you know, just to have a good time, and also to learn. And then when I left university, I sort of bought my own house. I started working for the CF Trust. I've worked there now for 6 years. I'm an expert patient advisor. Give me a call. Which basically in a nutshell is patient representation, and it's for the North West and Yorkshire and Humber. And I really enjoy that because it's really different, and I sort of get to do lots of really interesting things that people probably wouldn't get to do. I get to meet all these celebrities, and get to do these really, you know, dress up in daft costumes and do fundraising and all sorts of weird and wonderful things. I got to speak at the House of Commons, which not many people can say, so that was pretty cool. And then in 2006 I got married, and then we decided that we wanted to do a bit of travelling, so we've been making steady progress. We've still got a long way to go. But we've sort of travelled. We did a tour of the USA, so we travelled all up and down the West Coast. We did the East Coast of Canada. I'm hoping to go to China later this year to see my friend. So just in bits and bobs, you know, sort of in between work. But yeah, obviously really enjoy that, and don't feel that my CF stops me from doing that. I take all my medication with me. Try to do it when I'm on holiday, and you know, try to keep as well as possible. And the other thing as well that I really enjoy doing is running, and that's something that I only discovered 3 years ago. I had a pneumothorax or collapsed lung, and again my health went downhill, and it freaked me out a bit. And as a result of that, I decided that I wanted to stay fit and healthy, and instead of just letting CF sort of get the better of me, I wanted to fight back. So I was like, right, I'm going to get fit, and I've never ever done exercise or anything like that. It's a complete couch potato, and so decided to do running. And initially I used to go out and I'd just walk for a minute and then run for a minute, and I'd be like totally out of breath and really unfit. And eventually I worked that up to a 10k run, and I've been doing that for 3 years now, and I did my first half marathon last year, and I'm doing the Great North Run this year. So I'm really pleased with myself, and it's also obviously helped me to keep fit and healthy as well. So, but I've never let CF stop me from doing anything, and I think that I have set my sights quite high. I wanted to go to university, I did it. I feel, yes, I work part-time, but I've got a really good career at the CF Trust, and I'm married. I've got a dog, I've got my own house, so although the garden's not very good. And, you know, I just feel that I've got all these chances to travel and experience life and, you know, do the running and things. And so, yeah, I'm having a good time and it's great. My experiences of transitioning from the paediatric service to the adult service was quite quick, really. I moved over when I was 15, which is quite young, but that was right for me because I felt that the paediatric setting, well, you know, I was growing up too fast and the paediatric setting wasn't particularly appropriate, it was a bit babyish. But also because there was a lot of issues that I was going through personally that I felt that the CF team could, you know, in the adult service could be more, help with more. And so I was really pleased that the CF team, you know, I spoke to the CF team about moving up to the adult service and they were really sort of supportive in trying to make sure that it was right for me. I think that there were so many other things going on at that time because I was 15. You know, you're preparing for your GCSEs, you know, you're thinking about boys, all that sort of thing. So, yeah, there was a lot of other things going on and I just wanted to make sure that it was right for me at that time, and it was. And I don't regret moving over at 15. I could have probably waited a bit longer, but yeah, it was a good time for me. I work for the Cystic Fibrosis Trust, and the CF Trust is a national charity. It's based in Bromley, Kent, but it covers the whole of England, Wales, Scotland, Northern Ireland. And they're a national charity and they support families and people with cystic fibrosis, young people with CF. They have a CF Trust helpline, which, again, when I was about 16 and I was thinking about careers, I rang the helpline and it was really, really useful because obviously, you know, there were certain careers that I was thinking about and they were able to give me really, really good advice, also on DLA and benefits and that sort of thing. And just general further education, so that was a really good helpline to use. They also have some teenage forums and adult forums, and that's really good because from a cross-infection view, obviously we can't mix. So we can all just have a moan and have a gossip and a chat on there, and obviously it means that we don't have to mix, we can just talk. We've all got CF, and so, you know, we can talk about some really dodgy issues, you know, like mucus and stools and things, and nobody's embarrassed because it affects us all. So, the CF Trust also obviously do a lot of fundraising. A lot of their money goes towards genetic research and clinical research and looking to improve care for people with cystic fibrosis, to improve treatment for people with cystic fibrosis as well. And so they have, for instance, done a lot of work to improve facilities, to pay for physiotherapists and dietitians, so that everybody gets an equal level and access to care. And so, yeah, they do lots of different things and they have lots of different events, and I'm always getting roped into them. So, yeah, and they're online and they're on Facebook, they're moving with the times, they have a blog. So yeah, the Cystic Fibrosis Trust is a really good place to get information as well about CF, about things, you know, like a portacath, for instance, in your arm. You know, if you're going to get one of those done, you can actually read a leaflet on that. And there's also a young person's guide to CF and a CF relationships link as well. So there's lots and lots of different leaflets and information there that, you know, is probably worth a read.
Hiya, my name's Ken. I'm a 39-year-old cystic. I had a transplant when I was 37. I was diagnosed when I was 21. So I kind of relate to how you guys are all coming up into adulthood, because I was an adult when I was told I had CF. For 2 years, from the age of 21 to about 23, I just partied my head off because I didn't know how to cope with life. And then I woke up one morning and I realised I turned into one of those people that I always hated. I'm going to do this, I'm going to do that. And I got off my arse and went and done something. I packed up my flat and I went to the Channel Islands. I worked full-time as a chef. I've always worked full-time as a chef. If you're thinking of a career, don't be a chef. Think of something else first and then be a chef, then you've got something to fall back on. And then I travelled, I went to New Zealand for 3 months. I came back and I went back to Guernsey and I met my wife and we went back to New Zealand for 6 months. We worked out there. And all in all, in that space of time, I still carried on with my treatment. every 3 months I'd go into hospital for 2 weeks of treatment. When I travelled, I'd go in before I went away, and I'd go in when I came back. I'd have my medication posted to me whenever I could. Even in the Channel Islands, it was difficult to get my medicine over there. I had to pay for it, so I used to get it posted from the Pierce ward. They'd post it to me. If I had any problems, I just phone up Prof Webb and he'd sort them out for me. So as you come from being a child into an adult, it's now up to you to look after yourselves. You're not going to have any nurses there namby-pambying you. You've all looked after yourselves now. You know how to mix your own IVs probably by this time. You know, I got a dinner table there, and for 4 hours a day I used to sit at that dinner table mixing my IVs for home IVs. I do them every day, 4 a day, and I spent hours there. It's part of your life. It's up to you guys now to think, right, what do I want to do? Yeah, you're going to want to go out and drink with your mates, you want to go out and party with your mates, but you will suffer for it. You will end up being in the hospital for 2 weeks of IVs and stuff. But there's a point where you've got to realise that I've got to stop this. This is what I've got to do, and this is what I want to do. The transplant process is pretty amazing. I'm very lucky. I only waited a week for my transplant. I've had friends wait 2.5 years, 3 years, and they never made it. They never got the transplant. I've had friends that had a transplant and never made it. It's a lottery, you know. But the best thing that you can do if you're waiting for a transplant, or if you're even thinking about a transplant, is keeping yourself fit. It sounds daft, but the strongest thing is that exercise bike. You keep your legs fit, you'll be able to walk, you know. And as soon as you get out of that bed and you start walking, I went down to 9.5 stone after my transplant. I was like a bag of bones. I had to sit on a towel in the bath, and then I slowly, all of a sudden, I wasn't fighting infection. I went up to 13 stone. I had to go on a diet. First time I've ever had to go on a diet. But waiting for your transplant's hard. You know, you go through all these processes. You'll be in hospital a lot. You'll be having IVs. You know, you meet your coordinators, you'll meet the surgeons. They'll say, do you want to go on the transplant list? You'll be, I don't know, should I, shouldn't I, should I? Oh, what's going to happen? When it gets to the point where you need a transplant, you've got two choices. You've either got a choice of taking that risk and surviving and living, or taking the risk not surviving and carrying on the way you are for maybe 2 years. If that's what you want to do. If you've had enough, you've got no fight left in you, you need to be strong. Yeah, so I've been married now 12 years. I've been together 14 years. I asked my wife to marry me within a month of knowing her. And then we decided she always wanted children. And I told her from the beginning, I said, look, I can't have children, I'm cystic. There's 99.9% chance that I can't have kids. And there's a new process called ICSI IVF, whereas you can have children. It calls small operation for the boys, which I will not go into, you'll make your eyes water. But yes, we're very lucky, you know. It's expensive, it worked. We've got a healthy 6-year-old boy who doesn't have CF. It keeps me in tow, you know. Trying to keep up with him keeps me fit. You know, the best thing about it is we went camping last weekend, just up Bedgellet, which is North Wales, and I became ill, and he looked after me, and my friends were with me, and off he went and done his own thing, and I didn't have to worry about him because I knew he was in safe hands, and I knew he knows how to cope with life. And it's amazing when you see a 6-year-old looking after his dad, especially when before my transplant, he was 4 then. He wouldn't leave my side. I was on oxygen near enough 24 hours a day. If I couldn't walk him to school, and the biggest thing I wanted to do was walk him to school, because I was a fit and healthy young man who used to work 50, 60 hours as a head chef before 2007, and then I became ill, and I just stopped doing everything. I couldn't do anything as a dad, as a husband, as a chef, nothing. Everything just stopped. And I had to think, right, well, I've got to put my life in focus here. And my little boy, my wife were my main things, and I tried to do as much as I could with him, that I could do. And took him to school in the car with my oxygen tank, driving with my oxygen tank. We used to go walks up Loggerheads, which is a local country park, and you know, I'd walk to the bench and wave his mum and him off and the dog, and then they'd come back and pick me up, and then we'd walk back and have a picnic, and cherishing those little moments with him. And then the first week I came home March 2008 after my transplant, and first half term at school, I walked them to school hand in hand all the way. It's just under half a mile, and my wife was panicking. She was panicking that much she came down in the car to pick me up because she didn't think I could do it. If I could give you any advice on it, it's like, you've got CF, you've got a problem, other people have problems. You've got to learn how to deal with it and the best way to deal with it. It's not a case of, it's when you're at school, they'll say, oh, you've always got an auntie or an uncle, or oh, when I was at school, I wish I'd stuck him better and stuff like that. Well, it's like this. You're an adult, you're coming into adulthood. It's up to you to manage it, you know. If you choose to miss a tablet, or if you choose not to do your nebulizers or take your steroids or your inhalers and stuff, you will suffer. Nobody else is going to suffer. You're the one that's going to suffer. So always remember that, you know, go for a night out and stuff like that, but make sure you're covered. Make sure you got what you need to take, you know, because in the long run, you're going to do damage to yourself. And you might think, oh, well, what the hell, I've got CF, I'm going to die, so what? You know, I thought that for 2 years. And then I realised, well, there is a better chance out there. And I've got a friend, and he was diagnosed when he was 24, and he's still going. He's 45 now, you know, so it doesn't matter what you think, it's what you actually do, you know.
Hi, my name's Samantha. I'm 41, married with a daughter, Jessica, she's 16. I was diagnosed at birth with cystic fibrosis. I feel like I've coped really well with my CF. With being diagnosed early, I received antibiotics. My parents was aware of the treatment, so really basically I've just carried it on myself as I've got older. I do my physio mainly when I'm poorly. The physio at the hospital know that. I can do that about 3 or 4 times a day when I'm poorly. I don't mind taking my tablets. I take antibiotics, Creon, vitamins. I have nebulizers in the morning and evening, inhalers. I do suffer sometimes with blockages, which I do have to have Movicol and laxatives with, but I just take it as part of my day really. First thing when I wake up, take my tablets. It's just part of my routine in the morning. When I was 16, I went from Pendlebury Hospital, which was brilliant, to was then Monsell Hospital. It's now Wythenshawe. I was a little bit nervous, but I was assured as I would be well looked after, just as I was at Pendlebury. It was a big difference. Pendlebury was a beautiful hospital, very bright, painted walls, everybody jolly and happy, very brightly lit, just what a child wants really. And when I went to Monsell, it was totally different. The unit was fantastic, the CF unit, but driving into the hospital, because Monsell was a very, very old hospital, so me being 16, coming from a big wow hospital to this old, really a bit miserable looking hospital, but once I got into the unit, it was fantastic. You get a team, a social worker, you get your physiotherapist, you get your team of doctors, Professor Webb, who is fantastic. And it's really positive because you're a bit more grown up at 16, you can handle the seriousness of the condition. They're not too serious, they don't bog you down with what you're going to do and, you know, the prospects of the disease. But it's very good because at 16 you need to know how your body changes from a child as your condition changes as your body gets older. But there's nothing to be frightened of, it's really positive. And it's what you need at 16 really, to be sat down with a friendly team, friendly faces. And the thing I like as well, I now go to Wythenshawe, because the new unit opened at Wythenshawe. If you've any problems, if you're worried about something with your CF or your personal life, you might have a worrying about something, or money problems if you're a student, you ring Wythenshawe or whichever unit you go to, and there's people there who'll make you an appointment as quick as they can, and they'll sort it out. So I like it that way, because as a child you've no worries, because you don't care, you're young and free. But as you get older to teenage years, the team in an adult unit is really supportive, I feel, and without them you would be, you know, you would be lost really, because like when I was thinking of having a child, obviously that's a big decision. So I discussed it with my husband, Andrew, but also Professor Webb, which is like, oh, I'm talking to my doctor first before my family really. But you've got to go down that side of the medical side, the risk it puts on myself as a mother if I have a CF, you know, I have a child. Plus also, my partner then had to be tested, and I chose. But the support of a unit, you know, an adult unit is, well, you can't really put a price on it really, but I wouldn't be worried at all. I was always honest at school. All my friends knew I had cystic fibrosis, my teachers knew. So when I went to college, I just carried that on, told my new friends, my new lecturers, and the hospital appointments tried at least, you know, the appointments really didn't interfere with my course. I tried to make them suit my course really. And it was just like an afternoon at the clinic or something. But I was fine, it didn't interfere with anything. I was lucky as I kept well really, and my friends, if they saw me a bit unwell, oh, are you okay, Sam? You know, it was really good. So just talk about it, that's the advice I give. Tell your friends, tell your college, your lecturers, you know, the more people who know, and if you do feel unwell, they can understand and think, oh, you know, something not right today, right, or whatever, and they can help you through that. The new adult unit is brilliant, especially now they've just had the new ensuite bedrooms. I haven't stopped in them as yet, but I'm sure I will do in the future, which that was the main thing for the new unit, because the old one we had to share. You've got your own chef who does, you know, there's food 24 hours a day really if you want it. They do suppers, or if you're not going to be in, you know, you decide to go out for the afternoon, they can cook something for you. That you've got your television, Sky, there's internet, if you want to use a computer. It's lovely, you've got everything you need really. And you have your, excuse me, you have your own physio who comes when you're as an inpatient. You have up to yourself really how much physio, and if you want to do walking, like when I'm an inpatient, I do like to keep active. Because like your stamina, when you're in hospital a long while, your stamina goes down because people are cooking for you, you're weighted on hand and foot really. So I do like to walk around the hospital just to keep fit, and that's good. So it's up to yourself how fit you are really. If you want to, you know, do a little bit of walking, or if you want to stay in bed and just have the physios do, you know, percussion, or if you do the breathing exercises. But there's everything you need at the hospital, and if you want to see social workers there or a dietitian, you feel your weights, because when you're unwell your weight does go under a little bit because you don't feel like eating. So the dietitian will come, perhaps recommend some different things you might not have thought of trying yourself, you know, things you could try either in the hospital or at home when you're better. But it's wonderful really, it's like, it is home from home in a sense, because you've got everything you need with your own personal room as well. You can bring your own pillow or duvet, a few pictures on the wall if you want to. And visiting times is open. It's not like a normal hospital, it's like 2 till 3. It's all day, every day, if your family can make it then. And, you know, you can have takeaways if you want at night. But now, because they've got the new chef at the unit, it's a lot better, and you can have more varied menu really. Yeah, it's lovely. The care from Pendlebury Children's Hospital to the unit at Wythenshawe has changed. It tended to be at Pendlebury just yourself, your parents and the consultant and perhaps the physio. Now when you move to Wythenshawe you do have a more of a circle of carers, shall I say. You have your doctor. You might not always see Professor Webb, or he might pop in and talk about your treatment, or if you have been very unwell. But you tend to see different CF doctors. You'll have your a physio, and then a dietitian. Also you'll get weighed and measured, so that's somebody else. And then if you are worried about anything, or you've been concerned, you can ask to see your social worker. So there is a more circle of of people. You get asked to fill in a lot of questionnaires being older, because with research, so they might ask you to do a questionnaire while you're in clinic, or they might ask you to volunteer for some trial of a new drug or something. It's all voluntary, you don't have to do it. I've done plenty, being an old one as they say, but it just helps for the research of the disease. But you do have a more circle of carers really to look after you. My advice to young CF is to look after yourself basically. I'm 41. I do consider myself lucky. I was diagnosed at birth, but even if you was diagnosed at whatever age, it's always important to do your treatment. I know you think the doctors are nagging and doing your physio is a chore, but take it from me, I'm 41, I've had a child, I have worked, I have gone to college, I lead a full life, and I think that's paid off to do your treatment, especially when you're poorly. If you feel unwell, tell somebody, tell a close friend, if you don't want to tell your mum and dad, or ring the hospital and say, look, I feel a little bit unwell, I think I need to come in, have a check-up or an x-ray, and take the tablets, and then you will have a long and healthy life, hopefully. When I decided, and my husband decided we wanted a child, it was a big decision, because of course I've got the CF gene, because I've got cystic fibrosis, but the big thing was my partner a carrier? And if he was, we'd then have a chance of a 1 in 4 chance for CF baby. So my husband was tested, and thank God he wasn't a carrier. So then we decided to try for a baby. I got pregnant pretty quickly. We did ask the permission of Professor Webb, because when you're thinking about having a baby, you do have to be in top form, as they say. I know if you get pregnant unexpectedly, that can't help, but we'd planned everything. So we did ask the permission of Professor Webb, and at the time I was very fit, so he said, as far as I'm concerned, yeah, you're fit enough to carry a child. So carrying the baby was brilliant. I went to St Mary's at Manchester for my maternity care. I carried Jessica 42 weeks. I delivered her myself. It was quite a traumatic birth, a long birth. Not because of the CF, that was just the nature of the birth, it was just a long birth. But I was fine. I had to cut down a few of my tablets. There were certain tablets I couldn't take because I did want to feed Jessica myself. So they would have interfered with the breast milk. So Professor Webb, there was only a couple of tablets I didn't take. But after I had her, I was fine. I didn't have to go into hospital. There was a concern as I might get like really ill afterwards because of the trauma of carrying her really, but I was fine. I carried her really well and been marvellous really. I think they said like the steroids in your body or something give out like natural things in your body what help you to keep well. So Professor Webb said whether the mine was on override to keep me well or not, I don't know, but everything was fine. But I would talk about having a child with your consultant, and my main thing I would do is to get your partner, you may not be married, but get your partner tested, because I have had friends who have had CF children, and I think it is a big thing if you've got CF yourself to then care for a little baby who has got cystic fibrosis, but that's personal choice. But myself, that's what I would recommend. But yeah, I was fine. I love I love motherhood, and embrace it if you can. Yeah.